A few minutes of Torah. There's a bad habit happening in Israel where people are saying Chag Sameach to each other as Rosh Hashanah is coming up, and it really, how shall I say, it bothers me a bit because Rosh Hashanah is not a Chag. So although you are probably not making this mistake, I want to share with you why it is a mistake and what one says instead. So we have basically three Chagim in the Jewish tradition. They're all rooted in the Bible, in the agricultural tradition. Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot are ultimately agricultural holidays. Shmini Atzeret, we sometimes throw that in as the minor fourth Chag, but it's really part of Sukkot. Each of them was given an historical significance, the three Chagim. Pesach, of course, is the liberation from Egypt. Shavuot, the giving of Torah, and Sukkot commemorating the 40 years wandering in the desert. So they have an agricultural basis and a religious basis, and they are called a Chag, which has a sense of a celebration. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are explicitly not Chagim. They're not described as Chagim in the Bible, in the Torah. They are called Moadim. They are times of gathering. The term Rosh Hashanah is not mentioned in the Bible. It is called the first day of the seventh month, which is marked by the blowing of the shofar. It doesn't tell us why we blast the shofar on the first day of the seventh month. It seems to be something of a super new moon ceremony. So the meaning of Rosh Hashanah was developed by the rabbinic tradition, the Kabbalistic tradition, and the Hasidic tradition. So we call it Rosh Hashanah because in the Mishnah, there are many different Rosh Hashanahs taught about, Rosh Hashanah of the animals, of sovereign kings, etc. And Rosh Hashanah in the Mishnah is understood to be not even a really Jewish holiday. Rosh Hashanah celebrates the beginning of the world or the beginning of humanity. The Jewish New Year is Nisan, Passover. The Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish observance of the beginning of the universe, the cosmos, as well as the moral cosmos, therefore the creation of the human being. So we call it the Jewish New Year, although technically it's the Jewish observance of the beginning of humanity. So therefore, as a new year of the beginning of humanity, for us, we study in particular what I will call the human condition, meaning the condition of all human beings. The condition of all human beings, which is one reason the meaning of this holiday should be taught to all. It's the Jewish way that we understand the human condition. In particular, two poles of the human condition that we keep in mind, I think, for every holiday, but especially the days of awe, Yamim Noraim, the days of awe, where I think the human condition is brought into deep and particular focus. What are these two poles of the human condition that's going to shape everything that I will say at my Rosh Hashanah teachings? One is the Tov, the good to which we are aspiring. Something that I featured in my Wisdom Works program that I've been developing over the past 15 years or so. Everybody ought to have a relatively explicit vision of what you want to become in every part of your life: a flourishing inner life, a life of depth, a life of meaning, flourishing relationships, flourishing work life, however you spend your time. There's a way to flourish as a human being, but most of the time, what I call our unconscious ego selves get in the way, and we find ourselves distracted in ego states. We're sleepwalking through life, and we don't remember that every moment is a decision for blessing or curse, at least metaphorically, life or death. And there's a lot on the line in every day that we spend our lives. We're not going to get these days back. Every day should be a day when we maximize the good. We want to live lives where we live optimal lives for increasing the good in our lives, which is why we say Lishana Tikatevu. So the proper blessing is not just Shana Tova or Shana Tova, it's Le Shana Tova Tikatevu. May you be inscribed for a good year. So again, the blessing is not Chag Sameach. Shana Tova is good, but it does not mean Happy New Year. It means a good year. You hear this in Yiddish, good Jahr. May you have a good year. But more deeply, Lishana Tova Tikatevu. Now, as I will talk about on Rosh Hashanah morning, the myth is that we ourselves are writing our year. Everything goes down into Sefer HaZichronot, the book of memories. According to this mythic image, the divine looks at our deeds. Our signature is on every page. And from that book, the divine assigns us the fate of the coming year. Of course, I utterly reject that theologically. I do not believe it, but there's great wisdom there. Much of our lives are random. There's a lot not in our control, but there's a lot in our control, especially our inner lives. And we can shape our lives in more things than we can possibly imagine, as long as we are accountable, conscious, take responsibility, and have some focus for the good. So try to imagine every single day your life is being written out by your thoughts, your words, your deeds, and your signature is at the bottom line of every single page of your life. So when we say to each other, Lishana Tikatevu, may you be inscribed for a good year. I do believe the divine has something to do with that. I'll talk about the theology closer to the days, but I really believe it is we human beings that are writing out the quality of our lives with our signatures. Now, why do we put it in the passive? Why is it Lishana Tikatevu? May you be inscribed for a good year. I think this is something that we all know. Much of the ways that we inscribe our lives are driven by the unconscious. We're not conscious through lives. In fact, one of the main things I'm going to be talking about is regret. Why do we do things we regret? Because we're sleepwalking. We're not conscious. Our lives are being inscribed, as it were, not by what we will, but rather involuntarily. The inner life, the involuntary inner life, unless we train it, unless we restrain it, unless we take responsibility for it, it will write out our lives, and we'll wake up one day and we will regret that we weren't more conscious of how we were living throughout our lives. So when we say to each other, Lishana Tova Tikatevu, may you be inscribed for a year of goodness, it reminds us our life, our years, our days are being inscribed every day, and our signature is on every day. And it reminds us that the awesome responsibility of taking responsibility for your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotion, your speech, your deeds, especially how you affect other people, I believe, but also in your spiritual journey. So that's my 10 minutes of Torah today on the phrase Lishana Tova Tikatevu. May you be inscribed for a good year. So